Let's go right to the border, Israel and Gaza. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is there for us again this morning. Richard, if you could just pick up on that point that Joe was just making about the efforts by Secretary Blinken scrambling across 7 or 8 different Middle Eastern countries to try to get them on board with the humanitarian crisis, with doing something to aid the people of Gaza. Where does that stand right now, and how likely, in your long experience in the Middle East, is it that the Middle Eastern countries would help in that effort?
Good morning. So many diplomatic efforts underway right now. First of all, on that potential safe zone in Gaza, diplomatic efforts are underway. U.S. officials say they are working on it. They haven't discussed any specifics because they're trying to figure out how that aid would get in, where it would go, how it would be distributed, who would be responsible, and how to make sure that it doesn't end up in the hands of Hamas and not getting to the Palestinian people. Do I think it will happen? It is very possible that it will happen. There is a lot of pressure on Hamas, a lot of pressure on Israel to allow some aid to get in there. Many Arab states have been accusing Israel of carrying out a policy of collective punishment by sealing off the entire Gaza Strip and not allowing in electricity, food, medicine, and other supplies. So that is only one part of the diplomatic push that President Biden will also now be engaged in personally when he comes to this country tomorrow. The other is this ongoing effort to free the hostages. And there was a development yesterday. It came from Hamas. It is still tentative, but it is potentially a game changer in that the main spokesman for the military wing of Hamas gave a statement through Hamas's regular verified channels in Arabic saying that Hamas has 200 hostages. The group said that other Palestinian factions inside Gaza have around 50 or more than 50 other hostages, so bringing the total number of hostages inside the Gaza Strip to 250 plus. But Hamas says of the 200 that its military wing is holding, it has verified their identities and says it is holding an unspecified number of foreign nationals and that it is willing to let them go. It is willing to let them go because it says they were taken during its raids into Israel when it went on a killing and kidnapping spree, didn't check their identities at the time, but that the foreigners are not part of its conflict with Israel, that it has no issue with them, and that it will let them go when, quote, field conditions are right. Now, what exactly that means is unclear, but Iran, which backs Hamas, has said that Hamas is willing to let hostages go if Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip continue. So that is another potential development. There's work on getting humanitarian aid in, and then, of course, there is the looming military action. The Israeli airstrikes into Gaza are still continuing, although I will say that over the last 24 hours or so, they do seem to have slowed down. There are still airstrikes, but they are not quite as ferocious as we saw over the first few days of this conflict.
Richard, since October 7th, obviously, our impression, the world's impression of Israel as this fearsome fighting military machine has been severely damaged, its reputation damaged. I'm curious, we're hearing about the hundreds of thousands of fighters that are coming in now, the reservists that are coming back in. Do you get a sense that Israel is once again feeling confident that their defense, their military can actually defend the people, or are they still shattered by the events of October 7th, and are they still questioning whether Benjamin Netanyahu and this coalition government can do the job?
All of those things are true. The Israelis right now are angry, but they are also nervous. They are nervous that how they could have missed this. They are nervous what Hamas may have in store in Gaza. But they say, and if you ask Israelis, they will say, yes, we were caught sleeping. We made a mistake. There is anger directed at the Netanyahu government and at Netanyahu personally. But Israelis are saying now they've mobilized. They're not sleeping anymore, and they are on a mission as a nation to destroy Hamas. That is the collective goal here, and I think everyone feels that it is something that is necessary. The question is, how do you do that? Do you send the 300 plus thousand reservists into Gaza in some sort of blitzkrieg? Do you carry it out through targeted raids, potentially in coordination with the United States and other countries? Do you do a combination of the two? Do you send in some troops to block off parts of the Gaza Strip while raids continue and negotiations continue? It is an enormously delicate time, and that's just in the Gaza Strip. And this conflict has now already spread beyond Gaza. It's important to think about this as what's described as the axis of resistance here, and that is Iran and its proxies. And its proxies are Hamas and Hezbollah. And Hamas is clearly mobilized. Hezbollah is mobilizing, and there have been strikes carried out by Hezbollah against Israeli troops along the border. Israel has evacuated some border communities. And then Iran has issued vague threats just in the last 24 hours that it might carry out preemptive strikes if Israel's attack on Gaza continues. So there are many signs that there could be some diplomatic progress, with the potential opening of a safe corridor or a safe zone, some movement. The first time ever we're hearing any kind of movement regarding the hostages. But the new threats from Iran and Hezbollah all do not bode well.
NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel, thank you very much for your reporting on the scene.